Episode 247 of the TV Dudes, recorded August 7th, 2019. To be fair.
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 To be fair. So we've all been watching Letterkenny, as you can probably tell from that. Or if you haven't watched Letterkenny, that made no sense to you.
No, but you should go watch Letterkenny. What are you doing with this podcast?
Yes,
Stop
just
and
go watch
watch
Letterkenny. That was my obsession.
It's on Hulu. Little Craven Misbehave.
Yeah. We're going to talk about Veronica Mars. It's a revival over on Hulu. It's season 4, roughly, 20 years after season 3 aired.
Something like that.
We're going to talk about The Boys over on Amazon, a new comic book adaptation of a Garth Ennis comic. We're going to talk about Letterkenny over on Hulu, which has 6 seasons, but they're Canadian seasons, so they're short and maple-filled.
Yes.
And then we're going to talk about the finale of Izombie, because Les and I are both obsessed with Izombie.
Yes.
And we're the TV Dudes. I'm Randy.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Les.
And Grant is not here. He's in Paris. He is off having fancy...
I grew up in Paris, Texas, and I really don't understand
he
Grant's
is not in
obsession
Paris,
with
Texas. He is in Paris of the France.
That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
He's off having wine and fancy desserts. And
I was like, man, his wife's going to kill him. Like,
yeah, you don't want to promise the wife a trip to Paris.
like, hey, here you go,
Here you
honey.
go. We're in East Texas.
Isn't it clever?
That's a recipe for divorce.
Right.
Have you guys heard that song that's like, I woke up in Paris, I broke all the mirrors.
No.
It must be last night got too turned.
So let's just jump right in here. We're the TV Dudes. We are recording live at the Permanent Record Studio
Permanent Records.
in Austin, Texas.
Austin, Texas.
And we do a weekly podcast about various TV things. We try to alternate up. We'll do an episode that's about sort of current TV of the moment, or at least most recent, and then we'll do an episode that's sort of a theme. So you'll next week our episode will be Comfort Food TV. This time out though, let's just jump right in. Let's start with Letterkenny.
Yes.
Let's start with dessert.
Yes. I down in my car, I didn't wear it in because it didn't need a visor to keep the sun out of my eyes, but I've got a ball cap in my car right now of Letterkenny logo.
Nice.
This show jumped up out of nowhere on my radar. I had a couple of friends that asked, like, hey, are you watching this thing called Letterkenny? It's fucking crazy. It's the most Canadian thing ever, and then occasionally breaks into a slow motion fist fight.
Yeah.
And then I whatever. There's a lot of TV on. I don't really have time. And then I finally caved and watched it because it was coming up on ATX Fest, and I knew I was going to interview some of the people from it, and I needed to start watching it. And I had others. It almost completely screwed my ability to prep for ATX Fest, because there are 6. I don't care if there's 6 episodes long. There's 6 seasons of this, and I started watching. Like, I'll watch a couple of them to get a feel for this sitcom before I go talk to. Nope. You got to watch every stitch of it. You're going to want to watch if you like a single minute of Letterkenny, you will like every minute of Letterkenny, and you will be so mad that it's over.
Yeah, so that's what happened with me with Letterkenny. It was coming to ATX Fest. I'd heard it recommended by a few friends, including our friend Melissa Garamonte,
Yes.
Who is herself Canadian, and therefore connects to the show on a level that we don't.
Yes, you can hear that in the audience at ATX Fest.
But I knew I was going to see it, and I knew people were talking about how good it was. So I was like, oh, I'll dive in and watch some episodes. And I watched like 3 or 4, and this was maybe 2 days before the fest started. And I'm like, there's 36 episodes of this? So I was not able to watch more than like 3 or 4 episodes. And as a result, for the longest time here, I've had an episode of Letterkenny whenever I want to watch it.
Yeah.
So I've been popping up like, oh, I'll watch an episode 2 of Letterkenny. And then just recently, maybe the last week or so, I got to the end of season 6, and I'm so mad at myself.
And
Thanks,
now,
Trump. No more Letterkenny.
Because of ATX Fest, we have gotten to see one more episode.
Yeah, we saw episode 1 of season 7. Now, Kyle, you've had a different experience with this show.
Oh, yeah. No, my brother is a huge fan. I mean, you guys have been telling me about this. So I started talking to him about it. He also loves Trailer Park Boys. And that's just been one I've never got into.
No,
so,
I never got as into it.
yeah, I assumed that this was going to be like another Trailer Park Boys. I actually left this show going, maybe I should check out Trailer Park Boys.
I take Letterkenny over Trailer Park Boys, but
Yeah. Well, no, this is I haven't seen much of that other show, but with him kind of giving me the pressure and you guys giving me the pressure, I jumped in. I just watched this latest season, like this last one that came in. So whereas Randy went and ate all the candy in his dish, like I can go back and parcel this out piece by piece.
I think it's the Canada Gooses episode in season 5. the title of it is something about the golf course, like Bad Day at Bluff, whatever. They have to go out to the golf course, to the country club, where they're pouring oil on Canada goose eggs so that they don't hatch, because there's so many Canada gooses that they're shitting everywhere.
You got a problem with Canada gooses. You got a problem with me. You better marinate on that.
Yeah, I suggest you let that marinate. Must be fucking nice. We should leave this world behind. That's the episode, though, where I felt like it was, everything you'd watched leading up to this built you as an audience to the point where they could sew an episode together entirely of character catchphrases, almost. And it is phenomenal.
Well, that's where I feel like this show you can compare directly to Shakespeare. Because people, hear me out.
No, you're totally right.
People who are huge fans of it, you say one line, and then the other person has to come in with that line, and then you're reciting an entire episode.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I mean, that's the thing. I laugh because you're so right. That is exactly what it is. It's the dialogue is masterful, and like they open sometimes with these things where they do the ABCs of whatever they're talking about.
Yes, those are amazing. I'm now wanting to watch Greek plays done in Letterkenny with the hockey team as the chorus.
Oh my God!
He's gonna marry his mother and kill his father, pussy. Boomtown.
Oh man, yeah, man. The hockey players they introduced in season 3, season 4?
I think it's season 2 or 3.
They're great. Then they changed up. I had an all-female hockey team.
Of course, the coach, all
the running thing was Bonnie McMurray.
Yes, Bonnie McMurray, and just the McMurrays.
So real quick, I've seen a season of this, but I'm still just loosely introduced to this town of Letterkenny.
So you've seen Gale? Have you seen Gale at all?
I think I've seen Gale.
On Modine's 3 at this point.
Yeah.
No, my favorite character, which I told you about before, is I think Schwarzy. The guy who you only see from the
Shorzy.
back. Shorzy.
Yeah, which Shorzy is also Wayne.
Yeah.
It's the same actor. Shorzy is in falsetto.
Yeah, that's hilarious.
Shorzy's chirps.
So, but I'm
greatest.
I'm kind of curious for the people who are like, okay, somebody else talking about this show. What's just kind of the blanket synopsis before you get to Shakespeare?
So this started as a web series called Letterkenny Problems, and what you need to know is the intro of this comes up and it says there are 5,000 people in the town of Letterkenny.
These are their problems.
And the basic division is that there's the skids, who are like the druggies, the meth dealing druggies. There are the hicks,
which is Wayne and Squirrely Dan and
Derek,
our heroes,
our leads, who run sort of a farm and a fruit stand.
There's the hockey players.
And there's the hockey players.
Riley and Jonesy, and then their crew.
And that's all it is. It's about these guys in a small town. And there may be 5,000 people in Letterkenny, but we only see about 20 of them.
Yeah. Wheel snipe Selly boys.
And it's all Canadian slang mixed in with its own patois.
I've had to look up so much hockey shit about the sport.
I assume this is just like Attack the Block, though, where they're making up most of the slang as they go.
A lot of it they're not. Wheel snipe Selly is not made up.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Ferda's not made up. Ferda boys. That's what Ferda means.
You know how historical dramas will have a supervisor on set or somebody from a museum who's this is how they would say it. Mm-hmm. Can you imagine the big beer gut, maple syrup chugging guys on set who are consulting who are well, no, this is really how you say it.
Yeah. Dangles is puck handling. So he's a dangler. He's Dirty Dangles boys.
The other thing I really appreciate about Letterkenny.
Is that what you appreciate about it?
Yeah, I just realized I was doing that accidentally. I love the it's about these sort of small town hicks and small town life, but it's aggressively progressive.
Yes, and they don't. I think they even said at the panel at ATX, people for whatever you think's going on in Letterkenny, no one's being bullied ever.
Yeah, they punch up. Yeah, always.
And they may screw with each other about being each other, but it's never because of the weird thing you're doing.
Right.
The McMurrays are not weird or gross because they are swingers.
Yeah.
They're weird or gross because they're incredibly aggressive, barely give a fuck about consent swingers who, if they get drunk, talk just an obscene amount of trash.
Every one of these characters has
gone down Poco.
Every one of these characters has a great sort of
you ever gone down Coon?
Every one of these characters is interesting in their own right. I love the way they bounce off one another. The episode, is it the final episode of season 6 that's the dating episode?
No. Yes,
I think
it
it
is. It's
Oh, yeah.
Well, it's not
basically-
really the final episode. They do a holiday
holiday
episode.
special, yeah.
So they've had St. Perfect's Day, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And then of course the Christmas special, which is equally amazing. There's a whole bloopers reel on YouTube from the Christmas special that's outstanding. But yeah,
But
speed dating.
where they bring everybody together for speed dating, and it's all these people who already know each other.
Yes.
And it's a complete disaster, but it's also a character study for all of them, and it's so good.
The insanely long running, I'm blanking on the guys' names, the gay couple that get married.
Yes.
But their long running, or bi couple, their long running sport
yes.
sex metaphor that keeps, we're like, Katie's keeping up with it, and then she'll stop and like, fuck. And then Squirrely Dan's just learning from it, like, wait, those can be analogies? Like, it's so good.
Yeah,
And oh man, every time Roald says Stuart, like in that high-pitched squeak. There's one where, it's the one where they go to the city. Stuart's gone to the city and is going to get beat up by or killed by drug dealers.
Yep.
And Roald calls the Hicks for backup, but he calls everybody but Katie. Like, Katie's the only one that'll fucking talk to them.
Yeah.
So Wayne's phone rings and he answers it and it's just Stuart.
Yep.
And then like the same, like he just hangs it up and Derry's phone rings and like a higher, I can't even do it. Like it's a higher pitch, shorter Stuart. And then Squirrely Dan just hands his phone to Kate. Like, call me first. Like, but every time that actor makes that Stuart squeak noise, I fucking lose it.
Yeah.
One of the ones that I lost it on is whenever a non-French speaking character says bonjour, and then the French speaking characters mock them, and they're like, bonjour. Like, because they do it so slick. It's like one of those things, like, that has to come from reality.
Their whole Quebec every time. Well, if you notice, every time anyone says Quebec, they say it differently.
Yeah.
Like I watch it with the subtitles, and they spell it differently every time. The 3 or 4 of them, like Squirrely Dan, Wayne, Katie, and
I love to
Derry.
go down to Quebec.
Yeah, man, I always have a great time down in Quebec.
Yeah, I
And,
like Quebec.
Yeah, they spell it out differently in the thing.
Yeah, put on the subtitles.
Yes,
Because the dialogue is fast and it's got a ton of slang.
and his name really is, well, his name's Daryl.
Yeah.
But they call him Derry. And it's such a perfect nickname. Like, it just sounds like something they started calling him one. You know, nothing clever, no great story behind it. It happened once.
Yeah.
I think they talk about somebody named Brain at one point, and it's just Brian. It just makes the letters up. Like, there's no story behind it.
Yeah.
Like, oh fuck, the story behind it though. Boots and the Ginger.
Boots and the Ginger. Yeah.
Allegedly. And we're told that it was a sick ostrich.
What's funny is I've started using these GIFs from Letterkenny to respond to things now. Like
Yes.
it is entered my lexicon completely.
Yes.
Yeah. People should definitely watch the show. It's almost certainly in one of my top 10 for the year.
Yeah, we could spend the rest of the hour just going through
quoting
funny jokes.
Letterkenny?
It's
Yeah.
so good. Once you're on board with it, you'll never leave. It's great.
So let's jump on over to Veronica Mars, which Kyle's had a similar experience.
Yeah, no,
with.
I just weird TV habits this week from me. So I've never seen Veronica Mars before, and that Dandy Warhol song played at our TV karaoke party. And I was like, what show is this from? Somebody's like, Veronica. I was like, I like that song. I guess I'll watch the show now. So yeah, we figured it out. I think I'm on like episode 12 of season 1, but we're into it so much, we're giving it kind of the slow burn. Kind of the same thing happened with Lucifer. Like, I came along much later, and instead of like blowing through it so we could talk about it on the podcast, I'm going to enjoy this.
A ton of it.
I'm just going to sip on
Veronica
this.
Mars is so fun to just sit back and enjoy.
Yeah.
Because it, like, same way that I loved Brick, Ryan Johnson's movie.
Oh, yeah.
This is just straight up noir. Like, this
high
is
school.
This is pulp crime noir set in a high school.
Yeah. And
Even now, the new season is still just hard-boiled pulp noir.
Well, that's the thing. They were canceled after 3 seasons. They struggled along there. Were they on the CW or the WB?
CW.
Okay.
Was the CW the first time? Okay. And it was sort of pitched as sort of a grown-up Nancy Drew, basically. And which is ironically CW is doing Nancy Drew now, and probably in the mold of Veronica Mars. But it has an amazing pilot. That pilot is fantastic. It establishes so much of the world, so many of the characters, the like 5 different mysteries they're going to play out through the entire season, and that voice that Veronica Mars has that is like the thing that keeps it pulling all through. She's the narrator. She's the private dick.
That is a great observation I had going back to the beginning.
Yeah.
Because right now, like, I love The Good Place. I love like the million movies she's been in.
Yeah.
I really fell in love with her in Fanboys, that
Yeah.
movie. But when you see her in this, I mean, you really take for granted like what a good actress she
Yeah.
is. And I imagine watching this when it aired, maybe not being as familiar with her, it would have been like,
It was
oh
just
shit.
Yeah. It was.
It made her one to watch.
It was clear that Kristen Bell was going to be something.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and the cast is all really great. And the show went 3 seasons and struggled for ratings and finally ended on a sort of a really down note, which I won't spoil because Kyle has not seen it all.
Oh, thanks.
And then they did what Rob Thomas told us in an interview was the hardest money he'd ever raised, the Kickstarter campaign.
They did a Kickstarter for the movie, which, by the way, I contributed to.
Yep, me too. I bought a DVD through it,
I have a T-shirt.
and I saw it in the theater too. I also paid for a ticket to it.
Oh, nice.
he said it's the hardest money he ever made.
Or as far as like funding a thing that the engagement over that it was an incredible amount of work.
Money to time. That it
Yeah.
puts so much time into it.
Well, that's what I'm imagining, sending out all those T-shirts. Knowing people who have done successful Kickstarter campaigns, that's the shitty
Order
part. Is you
fulfillment?
gotta,
Yeah, you don't-
send all that stuff out.
Yeah, because Veronica Mars, the movie, came out when Kristen Bell was older
and pregnant.
and pregnant, though not in the show.
No, but there were some
nice.
shots where they worked around it. I
Yeah.
believe, in the shoot.
If they can do
that came
Black
out-
Widow and Age of Ultron while she's pregnant, I mean, yeah.
That came out in 2014. And Veronica Mars, does anybody know when Veronica Mars was, the TV show?
Oh, I looked it up.
would've
I think
been
it
05.
started in, actually, I think it started like fall 04 and went into 05.
My roommates
okay.
were watching it in 05.
So it was 10 years later.
They still got flip phones, y'all.
And she was an adult. She had grown up. She'd gone to law school. She had this promising career ahead of her, and then something draws her back to Neptune for one last case. And it's such a great noir trope. I know the movie has sort of mixed reviews. I
really
love
love the movie.
I love the movie. I've watched it numerous times.
It was just a slightly longer episode. It was
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted coming out of the movie theater.
And then they did a couple novels, which I've read
Which are
both,
also
and I
fun.
really like.
Yes.
And I was figuring, okay, it's done. The novels didn't sell. We're never going to see more Veronica Mars, which is too bad because I really liked growing up Veronica Mars.
Yeah.
And then the TV renaissance started, and they're like, let's reboot everything.
Yeah,
And they
Hulu
brought back
picked it
Veronica
up.
Mars.
Yeah, and since all the cast loves it, and then we're
Yeah.
all happy to come. So many people were happy to come back.
So they did an 8-episode season on Hulu.
Which
They dropped,
I love the amount of the season. Like I
Yeah.
love the 8-episode
I'm
season.
all about 8 episodes.
We watched when I knew it had dropped because Hulu dropped it a week early.
yeah,
because yay Comic-Con.
that was great. You were at Comic-Con.
Yep. So I didn't get to watch it. Like they dropped it early, but as soon as I got home, Lisa and I sat down and started watching it and watched it straight through.
Yeah.
Like I watched that it is
I burned
it is
through it in
rare
2 days.
even now. Yeah, usually things fall. At least I start them at night and they fall on a seam, and I watch the last 2 of them the next day. That's basically
Yeah.
what happened to The Boys.
Yeah.
With Veronica Mars, we watched that thing in a sitting.
Wow.
We just kept like start the next one. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's
what we
now
did for her
what
birthday,
5
actually.
years after the movie,
Yeah.
and Veronica Mars has been operating in town as a PI. And her dad is still in. He's maybe starting to think about retiring.
I love the stuff with him. Maybe should I retire? Like him being genuinely scared that he's going to do something wrong on a case, but also him not being okay as a dad with he is but he isn't, with her having a law degree but yet still being back here doing this bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love that like, yeah, he's fine with it because she's a grown person and she's his daughter and he's glad to have her close and everything. But
Yeah.
also he's never going to really be fine with that.
Yeah. And the love affair with her and Logan.
Yes.
Which, by the way, I was.
What?
Yep.
You mean Logan from season 1?
So that's what I was going to say. One of the things that if I understand fans are. I understand that fans are mad with how this recent season ended and left some characters. But if you had told me during season 1 that this show could believably walk me in 4 seasons and a movie around to a point where I truly believe Veronica and Logan are good for each other.
Yeah.
in love.
Yeah.
It's healthy, real love.
And that Logan is the one who is all fixed up, and Veronica's
Logan got his
damaged.
shit together, and Veronica didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just am thinking of season 1 when Logan smashes out her headlights
Yeah.
with a crowbar.
Yeah.
And I'm like, to smash a girl's headlights and then to hook up with her later on, that's just like epic points.
Yeah, and he's like a fucking sociopath in season 1. I mean, if you would have told me that you'd get that character even around to somebody I don't hate, I'd have gone, all right, well, I mean, they got Charisma Carpenter around to a character I loved in Buffy and Angel, so possible. But if you'd have told me that like I'd be straight rooting for Logan, that I'd be shipping Logan and Veronica at some point, I'd be like, no.
You know what's interesting
Pez.
is after watching the movie in season 8, going back, or actually I watched the movie and going back to season 1, which I started to rewatch before they launched season 8, or season 4.
Yeah, same.
So I got through the first episodes, and you can already see in the early start, you're like, they left room to redeem Logan early. Like they knew they were going to do this.
Yeah. I think they did.
It's funny because that was one of the big spoilers going into watching season 1. I'd seen press, so I knew that he was a good guy on the show and that they probably had a thing. But yeah, I noticed that too. Like you see these points, even when he does shitty stuff, they're like, oh yeah, but look at his family life. You know, look at what else he's got going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were. It didn't, and maybe that's why it felt believable. Is because there never felt like there was a point in the show where they just decided they wanted to redeem him.
Right.
So they didn't have. There weren't like stuff Logan had done in season 1 that was just absolutely like, no, you nut job, fuck you.
Yeah.
They had left the door open the whole time.
Yeah, it's not like Buffy and Spike where I never quite bought that redemption. It was just like, oh, you like the actor. Like I thought that Logan, it was laid from the ground up. There was like this dude looks bad, but in fairness, his girlfriend died.
Yeah.
And his whole world fell apart, and he's had some abuse in his past.
Well, and Logan just has like one lifetime. Like when it comes to redeeming like a vampire character on a show like that, I'm always like, cool. So the 2 weeks we've seen on screen counteracts 5 centuries of murder. Like you've had multiple human lifetimes of being like the worst serial killer on the planet, dude. I'm pretty sure whatever just happened to this 17-year-old vampire slayer is not redeeming you.
So Hulu dropped all of Veronica Mars on July 1st.
Yes.
So that you could rewatch, which Kyle started
I wish
in.
they'd done it earlier because I wanted to start it like a month earlier.
I did too. I jumped in on July 1st. I started in. And I got through about half of season 1, and then season 4 hit, and I'm like, nope, jumping ahead. Because I've watched it all. I don't remember a lot of season 2 and 3, to be honest.
I could definitely stand to rewatch them. There would be tons that I don't remember the details of, because there are some, I mean, there's episodes, you know, there's standalone stuff that happens in each episode.
Yeah.
But I immediately had to jump ahead to season 4.
Season 4, they're incorporating a bombing storyline. There's a Mad Bomber, which is drawn from some of the Austin, Texas bomber, because Rob Thomas is an Austinite. And Veronica is a PI. Her dad is a PI working on cases. They have added in Dick Casablanca's father.
Big Dick.
And he's got he did some time for white collar crime and wound up in cahoots with this felon played by J.K. Simmons, played beautifully by J.K. Simmons.
Yes.
Nice.
And by the way,
his friendship with Rico
with Mars,
with
with
Papa
Keith
Mars,
is so good and so layered.
Yeah,
because you never at the end of it when he's like, "You were playing me too." Like they were both playing each other, but they also developed
were
a
both
friendship.
friends. Yeah,
it's just that J.K. Simmons' character has more moral flexibility, whereas Keith Mars doesn't.
Yeah,
and he's like, "I can't be friends with you."
But like, there's definitely a middle ground where we're kind of the same guy.
Yeah,
we're just on different sides of it.
I really like the way they brought Logan into the story. Mm-hmm. I thought that was a really clever way to bring him in. I thought bringing in sort of the political aspect of it was interesting.
It also really played to Jason Dohring's strengths as an actor to give him those the flip moment, like when it is one of the emotionally worst sex scenes I've ever seen on a show.
Yeah,
when there's a moment where she's not really having it until he blows his temper and puts a hole in a cabinet with his fist, and then they fuck.
Yeah.
And he even calls her on it, I think, the next day.
He does.
Like,
he's like, that's what you want?
Yeah, like, that's not all right. You need. I think he leaves his number for his therapist, and I was like, Jesus.
By the way, that's a great cameo, his therapist.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was a surprise. I'm like, oh, I guess we're going to see more of this character. I also thought that that Patton Oswalt was fantastic in this. Patton Oswalt does not get enough credit as a dramatic actor. He's great and Justified.
And Clark Duke was also a fun cameo in all the little murder group.
Yeah.
All his
And they
murder
bring
friends.
back a ton of characters. They bring back what's Ken Marino's character?
Oh, I'm blanking.
Vinny Van Lowe.
Yes.
Vinny Van Lowe makes another appearance. Dick Casablancas is only in like one episode.
Yeah, he's only
unfortunately.
in a little bit, which I love that actor, so I was kind of sad he wasn't in more.
I feel like there was some more.
They have, oh God, Logan's ex.
Oh.
And I'm blanking on her name. She turns up in one moment.
Okay.
I'm blanking on the
The
character
dead
name.
girl?
The ghost of Lily Kane?
Yes. No, but they do have quite a few
Badass.
characters turn up.
Yeah.
I think does Piz? Does Piz?
Piz does not show up.
No, I'm thinking of Izombie.
Yeah.
the actor that played Piz
showed up in
shows up.
Izombie, Yeah. But I thought this was a great season.
I did too. I understand that there are fans who are really, really fucking mad about how the season ended.
I get it, but here's the thing. Veronica Mars has always been about the down endings.
Also, real life frequently does shit that's not. I'm sorry. This is almost always my stance on stuff like this.
Yeah.
I'm not owed a happier ending.
Yeah.
I'm owed the ending that the writers wanted to do that they felt was realistic based on their understanding of it. If I
Yeah.
want something different, I have to write that fanfic.
Yeah.
Or make a different show.
Well, here's the thing. You look at the end of season 3, and that's a really big downer ending. You look at the end of season 2, it's a downer ending. Look at the movie, it's a downer ending. Like, yeah, it gets the character in an interesting
felt
place.
this- I felt like something. I even called the shot on the character of like I don't know what, but something bad is going to happen
Yeah.
to that character.
Yeah.
and then was just when I went online and found and like the people talking about like fuck Rob Thomas for everything he ever does in the future. I won't
Yeah.
watch any shows he
Yeah.
ever does ever again. And I'm
That's
like,
the last Matchbox 20 album I ever buy, right?
I mean, if you're mad at this ending, you don't understand Veronica Mars, you don't understand noir.
well, and I've never understood it. Like, you know, don't go pull him out of a car in a snowbank and hobble him. What the fuck?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It really started to sound like you can't kill off a character.
Yeah.
You can't do a thing with your show. Like, or now he just thinks they're going to move on with another season and like, well, yeah, because
Yeah.
oh my God, they're just stories. Like, it's stories.
Yeah.
Shit happens. Like,
You know who used to do this with their show all the time? Entourage. You get to the end of the season, you think he's got the movie, he doesn't got the movie.
Yeah.
Or maybe he gets the movie,
But it all
now
blows
there's
up
another
yeah.
movie. Yeah.
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 You never have a happy ending out there in Hollywood.
And then it all works out the next season.
Yep. And then gets the movie again.
I'm super excited for more Veronica Mars. I hope they
I
do
hope
some
to
more.
God they do more. I loved this season.
Yeah. Also, the new protege
I
that
cried at
comes
the
in,
end.
the
I was
girl.
fucking- yeah. Oh, shit, she's
girl,
great.
The girl whose father died, who's very much a Veronica Mars
watching,
type.
watching Veronica watch her become Veronica,
Yeah.
while also watching being Veronica ruin her relationship with Logan.
Yeah.
like it I really loved this season.
Yeah, and I love this character. Like they've
Yeah.
really they've. I mean, Kristen Bell's great, and I love her on The Good Place. But Veronica Mars is a very special character,
Mm-hmm.
and they've managed to transition from her being a teenage PI into being a 20-something into being a 30-something.
it really it worked to move this character into adulthood, where
Yeah.
it was not guaranteed it would.
No, I mean, so much of it was based on the high school of it all that I could, and the college of it all, that it could have really failed.
And now it being this town that love hates its tourists and
Yeah.
shit, like it
Well-
so appeals to me in like a John McDonald pulp book.
Well, and it's always been about the 1% versus the rest, and that is such a. It got more timely, not less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also find shows like this, like that take place out in California in those like kind of temperate climates, they always would remind me of like the best times of school weather-wise.
Yeah.
Like those 2 days in the spring or in the fall where it's just so nice out. You're like, oh, I want to go to school today. It's like, what if you lived out there where that was every day and there was murder mysteries and Nancy Drew's running around?
Also, I wouldn't be me if I didn't bring this up. But noir detectives in a beach town. There's a Veronica Mars Terriers crossover that's begging to be written, and someone needs to write that fucking episode.
They just need to end a season with her finding a stray dog.
I don't care if you just bring in Donald Logue or Michael Raymond James as a character in the same way they brought in Carla Gugino in Justified as not Karen Sisko.
Yeah.
Bring in someone who's not Hank Dolworth. I'm totally okay with that, but that needs to happen.
That would be pretty awesome. Even if they just did it for an episode.
It just makes sense.
They play different detectives.
I had a brief moment of madness where I was like, I could do Beach Beach Cops Detective season 3, 4, and 5 about Veronica Mars.
Where she has to, oh man, if she ever has to go to, is it El Ciento?
Yeah.
Or wherever the fuck they live.
Well, I was like, I could do an episode by episode running on Veronica Mars, and it still fit into Beach Cop Detectives.
Right?
Oh shit! You know how we make this happen? Who's the creator of who's your guy on
Ted
Terriers?
Griffin?
Yeah. We just need to hook him and Rob Thomas up on Twitter and be like, "Why aren't you guys talking? You should be best friends.
We're making a show right now.
You should be doing an episode."
Randy, I don't know why we're not making that episode right now.
Let's do it.
But no lie, this happens to celebrities all the time. Like Daniel Radcliffe was at some press thing, and Dan Harmon and Justin Roiland were there.
Yeah.
And some reporter was like, "When are you going to have Daniel Radcliffe on Rick and Morty?" And it's like, "Well, we don't even know him." And it's like, "Well, I asked him about it 5 minutes ago, and he said he'd love to do it." And they're like, "All right, we're going to get him on the show sometime."
All right. Let's move over to The Boys on Amazon.
All right.
Which is another 8-episode season. And I'm loving the 8-episode seasons,
Yes.
guys. I think it's great. Maybe it's just because we watch a lot of TV, but I think they're getting nice, tight stories. This is based on a comic book by Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson over at Dynamite. The comic itself is juvenile, full of dick and fart jokes, a little misogynistic in my opinion. I kind of hate it.
Yeah, it was not. I like Garth Ennis, and I didn't really care for the Boys comic.
And it is basically about how superheroes are all entitled, dangerous dicks, and these good British boys are going to go murder them all.
You nailed that misogyny part. Like, that was the one thing that I kept asking myself watching this. It was like, does this take place 4 years in the past with technology that's 4 years in the future?
Well, one of the lead characters, the lead hero, lead protagonist, if it's female, her name is the girl. Like, it is definitely, that's what Garth Ennis does. He does this macho bullshit. That's his thing. And you can either get on board or not. I think the show with Eric Kripke at the helm did a much better job with the subject material. And it's no less profane. It's no less weird.
Or jaw-droppingly fucked up at points. I mean, it opens with that death that is just like, holy shit, crazy.
But it's got some subtleties to it.
This made such a better show than a comic to me, and I'm stunned to say that.
Well, part of the thing is the casting's amazing.
Oh, yes.
I mean, not just the big names like Carl Urban or Elizabeth Shue.
Simon Pegg.
The guy who plays Homelander.
He is phenomenal.
Yeah, the guy who plays Billy
Even the
Lee
dude
Huey.
playing Translucent is great.
Yeah, he is. And by the way, in the comics,
and the Deep, I feel genuinely bad for that fuckwit.
In the comics, Wee Huey is visually based on Simon Pegg. And so Simon Pegg was too old for the role at this point.
So him playing his father.
So he plays his dad, and he plays it with such a great American accent that I swear to God I didn't know it was Simon Pegg.
So Huey, that actor, will permanently remind me of like.
Oh yeah.
So this role should have gone to Anton Yelchin.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, see, no, I was getting an Adrian Brody feel from him.
Oh,
yeah.
Too old.
Well, yeah. No, he's like, I was like, is that his younger brother?
Yeah.
But I feel like without a horrible Jeep accident, this role would have gone to Anton Yelchin.
I think you're right.
And that's what the kid, and I'm fine with that dude reminding me of that. Like, honestly,
do you see that
do worse as an
documentary
actor
that's coming out on him? Yeah, this,
cool.
I say this summer's almost over, but yeah, they did made a documentary about that kid.
Because I love that dude. Yeah. But that's kind of who this actor reminded me of. And so every time he was on screen, it was just like, he fits that mold of like, oh, I'm happy to watch you. Great.
Yeah.
And I have one quibble really with the entire show, and it is such a stupid, this would only bother me. It doesn't bother me enough to mess the show up. But there was an effect logic that I was like, no, it should have gone like this instead of like that. And it spoilers for those of you who have not watched the Boys.
Wait a second. I think I might be thinking the same thing.
When Huey actually clicks the detonator.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And they have spoilers.
Yeah.
Wedged a wad of plastique up Translucent's ass.
Yep.
Because he doesn't turn invisible. His skin is a carbon nanofiber that refracts light. And so his skin is indestructible.
Yeah.
But his insides are just goo and guts.
So it should not have been an explosion of good guts.
It should not have exploded.
It should have been a bag.
The bag should have kept the whole explosion contained except his orifices, which should have hosed his body out. Like out his asshole, nose, and mouth.
Exactly. It should have launched him like a jetpack.
Like, and he should have flown around the room like a fucking balloon, losing blood until the sack of skin just hit the ground.
Which, by the way, sounds more like a Garth Ennis and Derek Robertson.
And like, so when he popped and there were bits everywhere, I was like, no, that thing should have gone off like a whoopee cushion. and y'all are just sweeping up his guts while you like pick the whole skin up like a snake.
Yeah, that's too bad.
And that would have been great.
I think what they did with what's her name?
Starlight?
Starlight. Yeah. I thought her arc is really interesting, where she's basically this girl who comes in believing all the bullshit and is rapidly disabused of the notion that these are good people.
Yes, very, very quickly.
And then she has to choose whether or not she's going to join in with that or
and then
be
also
a better
discovers
person.
the secret of like, hey, guy, you weren't randomly born as a freak of nature. God didn't bless you with powers or anything. Like there's a whole conspiracy thing happening here.
Yeah, the interesting thing, the Vought stuff and the notion of sort of corporate malfeasance and all that goes in here, I don't know how much that is in the comic. It may all be.
But it works great here.
It's really, really good. And Elizabeth Shue is sort of this sleazy corporate type. She's got the weird fixation on her baby.
Yeah, and when they tell her she can move to the 87th floor or whatever, and she plays it perfectly. Like her excitement at that party and keeping it contained was, I was like, yes, I know exactly the level of executive you are.
And Homelander is he's a complicated character because it would be easy to just play him as a psychopath.
Yeah, but no, when he goes to meet with the old scientist that ran the experiment, Vogel, I can't remember the guy's name.
Yeah.
He is evil, and I don't feel bad for Homelander.
Right.
But you do. He is a complicated character because you see him like I'm not your worst failure. I'm the greatest superhero, and you can see the scientist like, no, you should have been raised with a family, not in a lab.
Yeah.
And for just a moment, I thought, the old man scientist learned. Wait, no, he didn't. He didn't learn a lesson at all. What he did was instead of raising another Homelander in a lab, he started putting the drug in normal families.
Yeah.
Like what they moved to have the superhero kids raised with families is so much
so
sicker.
much worse. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's so much worse.
But it took a minute to click of like, oh shit, you do feel genuinely bad in your heart for what you did to him, but not in a way that would make you stop doing it to kids.
Yeah.
You just
You're just like it produced less than perfect results.
Yes.
Yeah.
And now you were genuinely scared of the thing you made.
Yeah.
Like because you could see the old man of like, what I realized, what I did to you or what it did to you, and now what you can do to everyone.
Yeah. The plane rescue scene. With him and Maeve.
Oh yeah!
Oh man,
that shit was.
When you knew that was how that was going to go.
And when you see like Maeve actually cares,
she's not cool with it.
Yeah.
And her drinking is entirely to deal with shit like
Yeah.
this. And his whole, he doesn't even want her, but he will never let her date anyone else.
Yeah.
Like his abandonment need God complex shit is right on point. It makes total fucking sense.
And then there's the whole thing with Billy Butcher, who we're sold as sort of the good guy, but he's a fucked up psychopath.
No, he's not okay at all. Yeah.
And
just using Huey like a motherfucker.
And when we get to the finale and we see, and I don't want to spoil too much because it's a big thing, but the big reveal is like you can see it coming, but you also couldn't have seen that coming.
Yeah.
And it's going to be really interesting ramifications for season 2.
Yeah. And they've already got a season 2.
Yeah, they've already got a season 2, which I'm glad.
I love, and it may have been the same in the comics, but I love in the show how all these superheroes, they tend to be these amalgamations of like politicians, professional athletes, CEOs who put themselves in the spotlight, your Elon Musk, people like that, people who, kind of sell like these ideas like, I have a solution here. I'm the be all end all. And, we see it in real life all the time that like these people are often flawed and they often make huge mistakes that, sometimes destroy their careers or their reputation. But now we're actually seeing it personified in superheroes who like, the people in reality have, powers, but in the show it's kind of neat just seeing like, oh no, like a character like Homelander could literally, he may not have his finger on like the nuke codes or whatever, but I mean, he could go wipe out another country if he wanted.
Yeah. Well, and there's the running thing about them trying to get them in the military, which is because they want the money from the military.
Yeah, they want a
complex.
military contract.
Yeah. And that's a really interesting running
I honestly
thing.
was astonished when they reveal exactly what's going on with the terrorist super.
Yeah.
I assumed that
it was Vought.
Yeah, that it would be Vought.
It's a great reveal. By the way, I love also the 7 is basically the Justice League. There's the 7. You've got your Aquaman, you've got your Wonder Woman, you've got your Superman, you've got your Flash. But what's interesting is they bring in some slightly different people. Like the shapeshifter is clearly their Martian Manhunter analog, but they don't have a Green Lantern.
No,
And
so
they have
I
a
guess
Batman.
Doppelganger. Yeah, they got Black Noir. as their Batman.
Black Noir is such a non-character. It's great.
I think that character's really funny.
He cracks me,
actually.
dude, especially when he sits down and just creeps out the piano player.
Yeah.
Like he just sits until the piano player's just like, fuck it, just gets up.
Yeah.
And then he sits down and like starts playing beautifully.
By the way, I love
still in
his name.
costume.
His name is Black Noir,
Which is Black.
Black.
Yeah.
I love that. It's already ridiculous that everybody's just walking around in their costumes all the time,
Yeah.
but that he would be walking around in full mask.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's like seeing Snake Eyes at a cocktail party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The table flip on the Deep.
Yeah.
In Sandusky.
Yeah.
Is so fucked up.
Yeah.
Like I don't feel bad for him, but
I felt bad for him because he's a fucking rapist.
No,
but
it was a moment on the show where I was like, oh shit!
Yeah.
Props to the boys for like
yeah.
just turning the table on him.
Yeah. Anyway, this was really good.
I was shocked. I should have. I don't know. I love Supernatural, but Eric Kripke's not a solid gold promise on every show because I really didn't love. Was it Revolution? Was that also
him?
I think that was also him.
But he also did Timeless, which was great.
Yes, that's right. So I will give Kripke. I should trust him more because honestly, he's took a comic.
He's more hit than miss.
Yes, and he took a comic that is a. I would say that of course this got made into a show. That was the best I could say about The Boys.
Yeah.
Was obviously this got optioned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But this is so much better than the source material to me.
The worst thing that can happen if you watch this show is that your imagination's going to go crazy. Because once you kind of see how this world operates, the possibilities are endless.
Frenchie is my favorite character.
I like Frenchie.
Yeah, within the second episode, I was like, you know what? No matter what else happens on this show, this is worth it for Frenchie.
I have a question for you guys.
Yep.
Does this show have a good guy?
Huey is sort of the good guy.
But he was lying to Starlight for
And
this whole
Starlight's
first
kind
half.
of a good guy.
But you know what Huey and Starlight both do that I don't. I'm probably this isn't going to be a popular opinion, but they to some extent allow themselves to be victimized.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong.
Until they don't, but
Yeah.
there are definitely points. I mean, especially with Huey early on, and I don't want to get into the whole thing with like Starlight and the whole like rape situation.
Yeah.
But when you do watch that scene, you're like, oh wait, she was just given this fucked up choice right here, and I totally don't blame her for what she did, but still, it's like,
Well, and Huey makes some choices for revenge.
Yeah.
That while I back his play,
Yeah.
they're wrong.
Yeah. If he-
Starlight is genuinely a good person through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I want to say there's probably somebody that I'm blanking on, but there's probably someone else in the Seven who's utterly fucking naive to it.
I don't know. I think
but I don't
everybody
know.
else knows.
Maeve is not. I mean, she's not naive to it, and she's not
Yeah.
a solid good person. But I liked discovering that, like,
She's not on board with all this.
yeah, that Maeve started out closer to Starlight than
Yeah.
Homelander.
Yeah.
but I hate the scene. Well, I don't hate the scene. I think it's a great scene, but I feel like a huge character development moment for Maeve is when she goes, quit crying, don't let you see him like this.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you're in the fucking system. Like,
Yeah.
you may not be happy, but you're allowing yourself to be a victim too.
Well, the thing is, she's trying to share her survival methods.
Yep.
That's how she's starting to survive.
That's how she's making it.
And she's trying to help in sort of a tough love kind of way, but it's a fucked up tough love
Well, and
kind
it's
of way.
disturbing as fuck to see on a show that, like, you're looking at who in this fictional world are easily, by fact, the two most powerful women on the planet.
Yeah.
And
they're still-
they are still having to have this bullshit conversation at work
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
of like, we're still at a cry in the bathroom level of feminism here.
Yeah.
Like hey, you can cry at work now somewhere.
Yeah.
But you got to go hide in the bathroom to do it.
Yeah.
Or there's just one off scene where you were talking about the misogyny earlier, where Homelander, who is admittedly a villain, comes in and to like the head lady,
Shoo.
he's like, oh, well, I'm impressed that you can, get pregnant at your age.
Yeah.
And you can see it on his face. He means it as a compliment.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
she's just like, yeah, thanks.
And here's what I'm hoping that this show doesn't do. I hope that they don't set up all this like misogyny and all these like kind of villain points and then not give some major comeuppance where it's deserved.
Yeah. I hope so too.
Yeah.
That is one of the things I worry about because the source material doesn't.
Seeing it's not what finally happened, but like seeing a train the scene where I'm blanking on the girl's name that they rescue.
Oh,
Kimiko.
Popclaw.
Yeah, no, Kimiko.
Yeah.
When Kimiko jumps out and smacks him in the fucking leg.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was so happy. Oh my God. And it's one of the rare times where the gore on the show wasn't gory to me. It was exactly what I needed to see.
Yeah.
I needed to see that the bone break was that level of compound fracture.
Yeah.
Like half his fucking, whatever the, I don't know my bones.
Yeah.
Whatever the top bone in your leg is that tibia?
Femoris.
Femoris? Yeah. So
I'm
half
just making
that,
up names.
half that fucking thing is sticking out of his thigh. And it's one of those like, eat shit, speedster.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so let's jump over to Izombie.
Okay.
Which just wrapped up its final season 5.
That feels right.
Yeah. With a really satisfying finale.
The best thing about this show for me, the whole run, has been this crazy complex world that they've developed, and then effortlessly balanced and danced through the whole time.
Yeah.
So that I've had these always fun monster of the week or brain of the week.
Yeah.
Every time, and yet they keep this amount of plates spinning all the time, and that this whole last season has been so steadily building without telegraphing their punch. I mean, it wasn't like I saw the ending coming five episodes back.
Yeah.
But they've been steadily moving pieces closer together so they could wrap endings up, and I can't believe how thoroughly this went through and just wrap stuff up in a believable way that, like, oh shit, that is actually how you could wrap a zombie apocalypse.
Well, I also just like talking about the overall arcs. Like, it starts as a procedural where there's one zombie or a couple zombies, and then slowly but surely, as with any zombie thing, we start seeing the zombie apocalypse on
and then you had the last season was a whole city of just zombies and a few humans.
And then they introduced the military aspect, the private military. That's a private zombie military. Like they really. They built slowly and patiently.
Yes.
And throughout the course where they were building this bigger story of like Portland becoming a walled-in zombie city, they're still doing Monster of the Week episodes.
Yeah, so I really love these people. I fucking love Major.
The characters are so good. Major's grown so much from the first episode.
Oh, yeah.
Of this, yeah.
And I mean, I had really come to hate Blaine.
Yeah, me too.
And I'd come to really care about Donnie.
Donnie, I really like Donnie.
And yet, by the time what happens to them,
they earned
I was
it.
cheered, and they've earned it.
They earned it. Blaine was such a great bad guy on Alias.
Oh, man.
And so to see him play a more layered version of that guy here, like he did the Spike turn in like season 3 when he had a relationship with Peyton, and you start thinking, oh, maybe he's not such a bad guy. No, he's always been a bad guy.
Yeah, even that relationship with Peyton was under false pretenses.
Yeah. And I love the journey they take Ravi on.
Yes.
Ravi becoming head of the CCC is amazing and makes so much sense. This episode, this season had an episode where Ravi becomes like a tough British goon.
Yes.
And you see what a physical presence he's got.
Yeah.
And that actor has so much.
He's a wonderful. Yeah. Following that dude online.
Follow him on Twitter is great. Yeah. Liv is fantastic, and she goes from being like an ME to being the primo zombie underground runner.
Yeah, renegade.
Renegade.
She becomes like literally the underground railroad for zombies.
Yeah. Major goes from social worker to the head of Fillmore Graves.
Yeah. And Chaos Killer in between.
Yeah, and becomes their Captain America in some ways.
And God, he's so good at it.
And this was like using the different brains for a heist. Was so good.
So great.
I also love Clive, like what she did with their partner. Like the giving him a wife and a kid that's on the way, and making him someone who's sort of complicit in the zombie stuff. Like they really did a great job with all of their arcs. And I thought their ridiculous Frenchman becoming a bad guy.
Yeah.
Was really effective.
Yeah, in a year where we've had a lot of shows wrap up, and I don't know. Izombie didn't like sit me down and smack me across the face the way like you're the worst ending did.
Yeah, You're the Worst is one of the best endings I've ever seen.
Or even Crazy X, I had a lot tied up in getting to see that ending.
Yeah.
Izombie, I think because it's pretty much just you and me that I know that are watching this.
Yeah.
But it's still when I realized like, oh my God, it's the season finale or series finale one. I sat down and watched it, and it's an incredibly satisfying hour of television, especially coming on the end of what has just been a stunning display of world building.
Yeah, it's a great show. That 5-season arc is gonna live on as a very
if you have
very
ever liked a
bingeable
zombie
watch.
story.
Yeah.
I would say if you like something like Lucifer, where you have a lot of episodes per season, and you can just sit back and enjoy them, or you can pace it out, or you can binge it. Izombie fits in that same mold. If you burn through all of Netflix's Lucifer and need something to go back to, I would immediately recommend starting Izombie or vice versa.
If you like Veronica Mars, it's Rob Thomas, and it has
indeed.
a Rob Thomas and Diane Ruggiero.
And a lot of running gags too. Like there's a moment where Liv almost gets recognized out in public somewhere, and they're like, she thinks you're Kristen Bell. She's going to be disappointed. It's so good.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up for us for this week, guys.
I think it does. Did we have any news we needed to cover?
Nope.
No news. Nothing happened.
I did not get a question post out this time because I knew we were going to have a lot of stuff to talk about.
These were all good shows. You should go, instead of doing all that crap, make time to watch these.
Yes, definitely watch these shows. In particular, Letterkenny was my obsession. Like, I really love Letterkenny.
It's so good.
You know, I found it was kind of hard to get watching TV this cycle because not a lot of summer TV. I've been playing the video games. I've been reading books. Been going outside. Been getting heat exhaustion. And it was when I binged through Letterkenny, but when it was time to watch The Boys, I kept putting it off because I was just like, I don't know if I'm ready to sit in front of the TV again.
Yeah.
Kyle,
do it. Just do it.
Wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud.
The TV Dudes is an independently run podcast and a member of the Electric Sweater Podcast Network. We are exclusively listener supported. If you'd like to help us out, go to patreon.com/TVDudes. You can like us on Facebook and Twitter @TV Dudes. All the music for our show is by our friend and original TV dude, Gregory J. Amani Smith. To find out more about us, go to thetvdudes.com and electricsweater.com. I'm Grant Davis. Thanks for listening.